Hey, what's up? Thank you for that. Can you hear me now? Should be good to go now. How's it going? Perfect. Yeah, I was talking to myself for a little bit there. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I'm just gonna start this video. So for SPY and ES, I've already done my levels, so mostly I'm gonna go back and just show you where. Oh no, perfect. Just fixing my mic. Should be good to go now. Sounds good? Perfect. Yeah, so I was saying I've done already my levels for SPY and ES for the week. This video and recording will be basically how I got those levels, what levels are more important to me, which ones I'm going to be looking at, and all the other good stuff. But I'm already going to have it placed on there. I don't have my VIX levels. I don't have NQ levels. I'll be doing those ones, NQQQ. I'll be doing those ones live with you guys. But let's get into SPY. Like I always do every beginning of the week, I look at the weekly time frame. And like I was saying, I did have a target to reach this supply zone up here on the weekly. Could take a month. Probably the way they're grinding this up could be around earnings month that we might see us finally get into that zone. In the meantime, they're just slowly grinding us up. As you can see, smaller sell-offs, bigger pushes in the weeks. So going by that logic, where's my volume on this? 1 second. Let me see if I can get my volume. So I already had this one up. Okay. So as you can see, the sell-off's been slowly going down. So that is my target up there. I just drew it on there. I'll have that erased. We can get into the daily time frame now. So I'm still keeping this zone up here. Seems like it's got a lot of fresh orders up here on April 21st and 2022. Seems like that zone is still sitting there, and we still have some aggressive selling coming out of there. We haven't really tapped into that since we first got that push into that zone. So something to be watching. We did get this push back into this recent demand, previous supply turned demand, and we did get a push back in. I am anticipating this as the hourly bounce to get back into this zone and to go a little bit deeper into that zone. As you can see, we're grinding a little bit deeper each time. So next time we do get above this. So I did have it marked the daily zones this time as gold, and my blue levels will be the hourly. Make it simpler, just so I know exactly which ones to pay more attention to. Yep, I have that. We'll get into that right away. So just looking at the daily time frame, this is the level I'll be watching, that 443.34. Next time we do visit that level, I will be looking for more of an upside and potentially looking to see them bounce that level once we get in, and probably get a little pullback and bounce up. How's it going, Zach? So that is my daily. I do have this zone right here as well for daily. They did form this one. So we can have this marked in case we do continue pushing down. And they do want to do a zone to zone again. So that 432 level down there will be important to watch if we do get a break below this zone. Yeah, I believe at this point, because that was a previous supply zone. So they retested this previous supply zone here, and they formed that new demand, so there is that fresh buyers here. So now I'm not using that no more. We did get that perfect formation. We can obviously, if we do break below this level, we can go back and refer. I think the next, I would definitely have something like this, where I would have had this zone drawn out. That'll be an area of interest I'll be watching. If we do break below, I'll just leave that up there. But I did shift my demand zone on the daily over to the new recent one. I have not moved any of these daily zones as supply just because of how massive this zone is and how much orders and how strong this sell-off was. I do want to keep that in there, and I will be paying more attention to the hourly run-ups into that zone. I'll get into that after, Lawrence. Definitely. So this is my daily time frames. Again, I have those levels in the gold, and I'll be moving over to the hourly time zones. Show you how I got these two levels here. Again, Thursday, we got that nice push down, back up. You guys are wondering how I got this level. If you look back on the previous day, this is why I did not want to switch this into a daily zone, but if you do look, if you were just going to use this as your daily zone, you can see how that level lined up with this zone here. I did post a video of how they played that zone, bottom of that zone bounce. But if you did it on the hourly, you could have found that zone right here as well. So it was just about this zone right here, how they now solidified that as a demand, and you can see how we did get that bounce retracement Friday morning, and we got that push back up. So I have this now marked as our demand zone on the hourly, marked in blue, and then I have this massive liquidity pool they made. So there's a few things I'll be paying attention to. I am looking to take positions only in these zones here. These are price targets and areas of staying away from, pretty much how I got them. So for instance, this level right here, this was the previous zone, so that's why I have that level marked there. You can see how we can look at that as strength or weakness. So I have that bottom of the zone and the top of it. That is an area I'm watching. Again, looking at this next level over here, how I got this one. I'm just pretty much basically using right here if we were to draw a supply zone. So these are areas where I watch for key. Once they get broken or they don't, the liquidity gets dried up, I look at those levels still as strong support and resistance levels. But I did not mark the top of this zone. I don't believe there's much action's gonna stop price movement up in this area. But you can see how they've created this little buffer zone here. I wouldn't be surprised if this area will be like a starter point. We might get a couple wicks before a break or below. It's just an area right here. I'll have to stay patient. It's very tiny. It's about 20 cents. So you could start a position there if you were looking for a resistance there. And if we do break above, you can obviously use this as a support and start an earlier position. But it's just an area I'm watching, probably going to be more patient with right here instead of a more defined levels like these ones. And then here I'm hoping to be in a position coming out of here where I can use these ones. Where is this zone right here? If I was to just draw this zone out before we broke out. So now I just have it more as a support and resistance. It's another area where I will be patient. I probably will trim heavy down here on my position if I'm taking the rejection out of here. But I could see us potentially stalling out here, wicking. Again, if we are in the zone, I'd rather be in a position here and having the luxury of trimming and waiting this price action out. So again, I'd always take my positions in zones. These levels outside the zones are areas of key price targets and areas of interest. Exactly, Martin. It's all about momentum, strength, weaknesses. There's a lot of orders left off from this candle here. So I'm not going to be surprised if we come back in, get a rejection, but we hold to get more orders before we get a full rejection back out. Or we could just show strength in this area and continue trending up. So you got to stay patient if we're right in between these two levels. Hopefully you can be in a position here. It is a very small. So I was mentioning this in my other videos. If you have a small account, you might want to wait for a move out of here or a move out of here, then potentially taking a rejection out of here. Unless you get in a position, say we're in here and we break below these levels and you're already in a put position, then you could ride this out. For a small account, this is not a good R&R for you unless you're going to be sizing in heavier, where you can just look for that quick 20-30 cents trim move, hold some runners for here, potentially all the way back down. It's just pick and choosing your setups, right? You can see how they set up all this very tight range areas. So the best one I see is a bounce out of here. That'll give us the nicest, probably smoothest price action. And if you get the right action in here, and if you see us holding here, you might get this nice smooth action in here. Exactly, Arjun. If you figure out, like, if I only need 30 cents in SPY movement for me to make good money, then I would take this rejection right here. But if I have a smaller account, I might wait out this whole zone. I might test this out small right here. If we do break above here, hold this level, this is a much better trade. Or if we hold below here, taking that move up. Definitely would look to see us here break above. That would be a small account trade, because the chances of us doing this price action here, what we did here, coming into here, could happen, but not likely. I think we do break out, and I think the momentum does carry us forward. That's just my personal opinion. And that would be a trade for a small account that I would definitely size into. And then if you do break below here, like I showed you, our daily zone is down here. We do have levels here that could cause resistances, but I don't see one really until, well, once we get past here, you can see how that long wick is here. That's a good move right there. Probably could get a good move right there. That's a dollar move on SPY. You guys know already how that moves contracts. So, but a break above this supply zone definitely would be a good small account friendly trade. Again, I don't have my levels in here. If I was to, of course, it'd be the top of the zone where I would have a supply zone on the hourly right up here. So instead of drawing that zone out, I would just watch these key levels. feel much safer for calls above this level, of course. In the zone, I can see us potentially having that stall moment. We do have these stall moments that happen a lot, so don't be shocked if that happens. So that is my levels for SPY. I'm gonna go into ES. You got a daily at 435-ish. Yep, that's where my daily is. Oh, you're keeping this daily zone here. Yes, Christopher, I only trade SPX. I might start dabbling into some equity, some other single stocks. So just for the earnings run up. I'm assuming Martin, your zone is off of the 18th, 22nd. Your daily zone's off of this candle here. On the hourly or daily? Just going over, seeing how you have that zone. Well, so that's on the 18th. I have that candle right here. Yeah, the 18th. Definitely, yeah. That is a level. Previous demand turned supply back into demand. I just feel like it's been ran through too many times. If you could see it, we came in, bounced it, ran it through, ran it through, ran it through. I definitely just not a big fan of those zones. I feel like we're gonna get some solid movements off of this play right here, this zone. I'll be watching very carefully. Yeah, Muro. Once I see that liquidity getting ran through both ways, I obviously don't feel as comfortable that those same participants are there. If you guys read trading in the zone, the old man talks about that all the time, about how there's always a new participant that can come and mess up your plans. I always try to follow where those new participants are. The August 16th supply turn demand, or just for the daily and not. And then which on the daily I'm using this level right here. I'm using the 22nd or the 21st and the 20th. This area right here. see what you mean, Martin. If we do get that, so those are the levels I didn't mark out below this right here. Like we can definitely look at them. I bet you we find it on the hourly. Like this area right here. That's definitely a zone. You can see it right there. We did not get, yeah, we did get a good retest on it. And then this zone, we did get a good retest now on it once we broke out. Done a lot of retests. I don't see there's much liquidity holding us from grinding back up unless they really want to head down. That's when I start to say the trend is flipping. But like I've been saying, I haven't seen a daily zone break. I've just seen retests and go happening in the market on the macros picture. So that's why most of my setups are still more on the upside. Once I see that daily macro shift of breaking a daily zone, that's when I start to look at retests the other way around. So now I look at previous demands as supply a lot stronger. Right now I'm in that more phase of the market where previous supply turning demand are much stronger than an hourly demand breaking, and then coming back to that supply now. I don't feel like it will hold as much just because of the macro that we're in. Yeah, so you can see how that changes your mindset once on the macro picture on the bigger time frames. Once we start breaking down bigger levels, then we can look at the hourly retests for broken demand turn to supply being much more stronger. Right now, broken demand to me in between the dailies that we haven't broken, once we come back to that supply, I've tested it against runners, my call runners, but I don't think those zones are holding up as much just because of the strength of the market. But that can change if we do start losing some key demand levels on the daily time frame. Exactly. It helps with the positioning, right? It helps you with the RR. Do I want to take this on the bigger time frame? Got a lot of strength. They've been disrespecting bears in this market. Anybody, I think there was a post that was just shared. The fastest span of short hedges being unwinded in the last week in 3 years. So that's to show you what's going on in the bigger time frame in the bigger picture. Since 2021, since 2020 and 2021, last week was the most short hedging bets unwinded in a week. So maybe now that frees up liquidity, we'll see what happens in the market. So that zone right there, like I was saying, Martin, how you have that on the daily, we do have that on the hourly here. I did not mark it. It is something that to watch, definitely. We could get a bounce down there. At this point, when we get down here, I'm thinking the gravity. How I always talk about magnet levels. I believe the daily will be a magnet level again. So I'll be looking not to bounce this as with as much conviction as this level here, holding. Yeah, it's been consolidated too many times here. I'm not sure about how much participants like this price target here, so I feel like this area had to be revisited just because of the way we broke out here. They had to do this. So now that that's all dried up, we do got a fresh area of liquidity here. I'll be watching to see if we do get up there. So that's for SPY. ES is pretty much the same story, but this one on the weekly is a little different than what I had SPY at. we're much further away on the weekly. We still have not tapped even close to this weekly zone up here. We did pass this daily rate, this weekly demand, previous demand turn supply. So you can see how we just broke back above it. And we came back in, we're dipping, but we're doing a higher low in the weekly time frame. So just a level to watch. Mark that in yellow. So again, this level here, $44.66.5. So that, I'll leave that level on there. Actually, I'll change that color. That is going to be a key level to see us break back above. What color should I make that? I'll make it a bright yellow. Again, yeah, on the weekly, we're doing higher lows. We did break above and we did hold it. So I'll be watching to see us above 44.66. Now moving into the daily. Same April 20th and 21st, same zone. We have not tapped into that one on ES. But as you can see, we did get a tap into SPY's 2021, so we'd had a divergence there. And then I have that, Martin, you were talking about you using that level for a bounce. I do have that as our previous supply on ES. So it was a demand level, broken, now it's a supply. We did get that zone touch, and that is where we got that push down. So now I'm still holding that level. Yeah, so I'm following ES's price action when we come to this zone. For SPY, it's pretty much, I don't know how that lined up that way. It's pretty unique to see that. That's why we're probably having this crazy pullbacks at this area. But we have that divergence there where SPY is already up in this area where ES has this zone. But SPY has already broken out of that previous demand bounce area, so we're gonna have to pay attention to it. Yeah, it's a double supply, and we're just holding that whole area off the SPY liquidity pretty much. So I'll be watching to see what we do here once we get back above 44.66. I'll have that on watch for sure. And then I have our daily zone here, that 43.90, 43.68.5, and then we can get into our hourly time frame. Again, I'm not using those levels here on the daily because of this, how this zone was here. I'll probably just keep my hourly zones. Again, same price action. We had that same zone, had that bounce here, came in, bounced up, created a supply zone. And then, oh, it's interesting to see how that level lined up perfectly right here on this previous day, on Wednesday's bounce level. So that weekly level held our Wednesday's price action, and that's where we had that bounce. So it is something to watch. So we did get a break, retest, came in, basically dipped our heads out and came back down. So the next time we're above here, and I like how we have this level here. I might stay patient until we get that break above 44.68.75. We can see how price moves. So on ES, I'll probably be paying attention more to SPY in between levels here, the ones that I had. But again, I probably will be patient with this level here, just because I I feel like we can get a wick down here. It might be in puts, but it might be safer to watch a rejection back below here. Personally, that's what I'll be looking. And a price target here. And then we can go down, another price target right here. So if you guys don't know how I'm doing this price target, just let me know. I do, if you look here, this is a zone. So instead of having that bottom, I just mark out the top. And then here, same thing. This is a zone. Instead of having that, I already have the top marked. So now if I do enter that trade, I'm looking for a price target here, break below. I'm looking for here. Pretty simple way of trading that I keep it. I don't like to complicate it as much. Again, if I had to find a level inside this ES, we had a lot of these wicks here, hold. We had this nice break above. I just feel like this pre-market level here isn't deciding level. No problem, Charles. Very simple how I keep it. If the price doesn't break above those levels, I don't enter trades. Just my confluence. If possible, I would like to see an example of you deciding when to enter short in a supply zone and vice versa. So, Lawrence, I was trying to touch on that with you about how the macro picture plays a big part into which setups I like to take. So, like right now, I am taking those rejections when they're fresh. So, like here, we got this. I don't consider this really a fresh rejection. So what I would consider a supply zone, some people would consider a supply zone. I consider it as a previous demand turn supply, but we're in a macro picture bouncing off of a daily zone or a strong support headed back into that level. I won't be able to have that same conviction of that level from the first time when we rejected it compared to if we break above. Now, if we say we get this price movement in a day where we're going above and we're in this zone here, I won't probably, so since this zone is pretty big, I might take this level up here pretty convincingly if we get this whole price movement in a day. But say we're like hanging out here for a day or two and then we're coming towards here, I'm not gonna take this level as with as much conviction as say this zone up here. So just having that mindset of like, okay, where are we sitting, how long we've been in the area, those are ways that those are my thought process that goes into which levels I take more seriously. The psychology of the zones. I should bring out a video for you guys about how I pretty much mentally prepare myself for which zones and which levels. The hourly, see if you look on the bigger time frame here, um, if I was trading a lot heavier size, I probably wouldn't even want to trade in this area. I probably would have had a big sell order up here and just let this play out and probably covered most down here just because our daily zone's right here. But I like playing the daily zones the most. If you can see here, we came back down. This was the daily zone. Came all the way back up. And then now this rejection, so I always do this too. I look at the sell-off area. So this one will give you another hint of how my thinking is of what to take. Let me just do an arrow. We got this move, right? From this area. I am not thinking we're going to do this same price movement from this same area. And if you look, we are not doing it. We're pretty much doing half of it. So to me, that means this sell area here dried up. Not as much as orders as there was the first time. Now we're here. So now when we come back up, do I believe we're going to have this same size rejection if we do come back to this area. No, I probably am gonna look at us doing half of that. And so forth and so forth. So that's just the psychology of, if you just picture this area as not just a red box, but just picture this as, if you guys have ever paid attention or looked at level 2 bid and asks, book maps, you probably will see these orders dry up as we come back into these areas. And then where I take my bounces, I seen this full retracement. I just try to picture half. If we can get half of that move, I was gonna look to say that's a strong area. And then once we do get a strong bounce out of halfway, now I'm looking for the upside, and now I'm not as, don't have as much conviction as a rejection up here. I will have more rejection conviction for a pullback here to back up than I would having just one right here. Do I feel like that one will reject us all the way down? It could. It's never impossible. But would I be positioned for that one more than I would be positioned for it to be broken? That's how I kind of play it. What's up, JD? Yeah, Miro. That's how I trade. I chart all zones, just because that's where the risk reward. That's where I feel like the IV expansion happens. I believe that's where IV is either low on one side or and extremely high on the other side, and that's where we get those movements. So I try to position myself personally for those areas. I hate the chop areas. Another thing you guys will notice when we have these kind of price actions here, like here, you see right here, this area right here, it's a pretty tight range, and we exploded. Again, tight range, and then we exploded. So if you're at a small account, another tip would be wait for this formation of price action to happen, and then look to see when those levels of that range break. Mostly there's zone levels that break, and that causes the IV expansion, causes the price movements, the better R&R trades, the crazier SPX trades. They always happen constantly. So again here, tight pretty range. This was a nice little range though, I didn't mind it. And then we got that explosion. Again, tight little range, and exploded down. We'll trend down. So, and we've had these type of compression areas everywhere. Explode. Again, explode. Again, explode. This one was not bad. This one again, explode. So if that's another tip for a small accounts, if you guys just need to build that account, I would wait for those days, because it sucks if you burn your account here and you miss these type of days right after, right? Happens to a lot. Happened to me a lot when I first started. Oh yeah, that's a better wording. How? What do you see in the 5-minute candles when you decide on a break is about to happen? Again, use the psychology, but then 5 minutes, you can see it. Price action will price action will tell you a lot. Here, we went from every other candle being strong bearish, like a few buyers here, and we did get that little price, but then quickly sellers took over, and then they tried it again. Here, indecision all the way to a bounce level. I would definitely like that price action, like to see that price action coming into a bounce level instead of say these ones right here. So you can see why this one didn't hold, because just how the strength of these candles of sellers compared to here. And then again, you wouldn't want to take a rejection here because you just see the strength of these buyers, like no bottom wicks. This is just straight up wicks. pretty much footprints. And then you wouldn't want to take a break. You wouldn't want to take a bounce on this level here just because of this sell candle here. And then you'd want to see this where you did see these buyers. So you did get a little bit of price action, but then you'd see it again. The sellers just continue pouring on, pouring on. So price action helps a lot. So 5 minute helps me see the wicks. A close below or above helps me kind of giving me that risk management. Kind of keeps me accountable. If I do see a wick close below on the 5 minutes, not part of my plan. If I didn't see any of those buyers, that's not part of my plan. It's just you keep rules for yourself and your trading style and follow it. And yeah, like Martin said, volume as well. But Lawrence, it's all about building that heuristic, that system for yourself, right? You might see things some ways that I don't see it. Some that helps you with conviction, helps you with emotions, and then that'll help you build your system and your edge in the market. There's people that I know that literally wait for this right here, price action, which I've started doing now a lot more, where I see it dip below my level, so I won't even take the trade most times. If it doesn't dip below, I'll wait for the next candle and then I'll enter position with the same stop. But I'm now more patiently waiting for this liquidity sweep below my level and coming back and reclaiming, and now holding that as my stop. Exactly, Arjun. That's what it's about. It's about all of us just gaining a fundamental and then making it ourselves, making it suit our personality, our trading style. And then Martin, no way, man. But again, here reclaimed, held, got that little push back up. So again, these are my levels for the week. If I was to make a level inside this big zone, I don't want to see us back in the zone. Most likely I am going to be playing it for a break. I could see us potentially, well, we'll see when futures opens up, but we could be sitting right up here. If we are sitting in here, I could see us getting some games played Monday. But ultimately, I can look at these levels as a stronger rejection areas now if we come back into here. Does that kind of make sense, Lawrence, why I have that thinking? Yeah, I'll do NQ next. I'm going to have to do NQ fresh. I haven't looked at it. I did these ones earlier and I've been... But yeah, you see what I mean. If we're coming back into here, I'm going to look at these areas here, stronger rejection, compared to if we're hanging out up here. I'm not going to look at these two levels up here as a strong rejection. Those will be my trim areas if I do take a riskier trade between the zones. Those will be my trim areas for sure. And then what would I like to see is price action coming back out. That's when I would look into the rejection side of the levels. But hanging up here definitely doesn't give me a lot of confidence to take a trade for a rejection up here, just because we've been here. I understand that we've never been here, but these are areas, and this is hourly. I'm not gonna put a lot of weight on a rejection here, especially when we zoom right out and we're doing all this. It looks like they've just trapped everybody that's wet heavy on a rejection at certain points. So you got to keep that macro picture plus that intraday look, and just position yourself intraday risk management, but macro picture on which setups you want to take. I've limited my trading style to less trades per day. I've taken a lot less trades lately, just because I've had that thinking where now I'm pinpointing the setups that I want to take. And something I do recommend for everybody to do. Helps you stay in the trades longer because you'll be in heavier and trim out more and have more runners where you're now more comfortable to see price fluctuate a lot more. But that all starts because you take that right setup, you go in with the right size, right mentality, right price targets, and then you let the runners do what the runners do. Exactly. Less trades, definitely more profits. Exactly, JD. So yeah, that's my ES levels. Let's get into NQ. Do want to look at VIX quickly. There's I did use VIX. I just think the way they categorize their bid and asks, I think it's just like everybody having their own flow. I think it's just the way they categorize. Well, it shouldn't make it that much difference. I do have after hours, but I think how many orders they allow filled in certain times. I think some fill more orders in that time span, and that's why those candles are different. But that's the only explanation. I do not know exactly, Big Zo. Honestly, I'd have to talk to some bigwigs in TV and interactive broker to get that answer, which I doubt they would even give us. I feel like that's their edge. So VIX again was very interesting to see on Friday. It ever load. Never loads on the weekend properly. There you go. Look at this movement on the hourly. So VIX went up to a daily zone. Broke a lot of hourly levels, so that was definitely a telling sign that we were gonna get that retracement at the end of the day or midday. Muro, I do have Webull on my phone. Interesting. Interestingly, so I don't mind it, especially for a mobile app. It's pretty nice. Can't even figure out where we rejected on on VIX. Just an insane move. And I think that was on the Thursday gap down. Yeah, that push up. While that loads, I'll start charting. We can start looking at. Well, I do want to look at SPX. SPX still the same at my daily levels. On the hourly, we did create some levels. Oh, interestingly, we are sitting at a level. So you guys see why I do that with SPX? I do keep these levels on watch. Because this is a zone. Instead of just drawing out a zone on SPX, I just keep it as levels. More pinpoint. So those are levels I will be watching. So the 4400 to 4385. Find my confluences with other tickers, but definitely something I'll be watching. Let's go into NQ. I'm gonna get through this one pretty fast. So again, like I always do, weekly NQ was the only one that got to the weekly supply zone, so it's not so surprisingly that we're getting these rejections, and SPYs in EF are having troubles reaching their supply zone. NQ beat them to the punch, and it's getting retracement, so definitely gonna watch this level here on NQ. I'm gonna make that yellow as well. And the rest we could find on the daily. Okay, and then I am gonna make this my daily zone for demand, just because of the distance away from the supply. It does qualify for me to count this as a whole trend move. Reverse the down move here. So that is my levels on the daily. Just have that weekly level as a benchmark. Well, it's not actually interactive broker. These are trading view charts with interactive broker. But the other, so I don't use these charts. Just to let you guys know, intraday while trading, I do use the old basic charts for interactive broker, just because the candles show up so much faster, price moves so much faster real time. I do keep this as like my charting system, and then I plot these levels onto my other charts, the old basic ones. Those ones you can't do boxes, pretty fancy stuff, so you can only do uh, trend lines and stuff, so and levels. So I just have a bunch of levels marked on my, and I use different colors to kind of separate the difference. So it seems like everybody got that same price action. Again, I do orange for the daily and blue for the hourly. I do this very quickly every morning, every night, most likely. Wow, overlapping zones right here. Not overlapping, but maybe tight. So again, you see this level here. It's a key strong level inside the supply zone, so you can see a reaction if we come back up there. If we hold above here and come back, definitely look at that as an area of support, strong support. And then we could trend back up. Again, in between the levels, you guys know how I do it. It'd be previous supply zone, demand zones. I just now mark them as levels. So you can see why I have this one here. And then you can see why I have this one here. I'm not going to do the one above. Just because I do feel like this area has a stronger price action than here. Here it looks like every time we come here, we just go. We do something right away. I'm not going to mark this level out. I'll have it on watch, but again, I'd rather take a position in here, 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 or here, and be playing for a break of either way. Not so much a rejection here. This might cause a little premium burning time. But I would love to see this price action up here. Even a break below here, that'd be a nice move on NQ. And then if I look for a level inside the zone, the areas here. Already have this one. And then, yeah, if we break here, I could just see us straight up. And then below here, again, if I was to draw a zone out, it'd be like this. But instead, I'm just gonna mark the bottom of the zone. And then if we come back down here, if I was to mark a zone out here, it'd be like this. But instead, I'm just gonna mark the top of that zone. And this is how I look at levels inside the zones. This one looks like it's just gonna be a clean movement. So we'll see where NQ opens us up. NQ is already at where I think it would just hang out for the night. But we'll watch. Again, just like ES, I do not want to see price back below here. Price back in this zone here. Just because it's already been bouncing an area that's strong support. Supposedly, we did get a move up here. This was a nice little move back down, but this would be the higher low area I'd look for, if you can see it. Does that make sense? Not, I think you were asking about it. But why I would not want to see price back into this level here. It would cancel out that higher low formation that's going on. Rather, if you're looking for upside, cleaner price action, don't mind the downside action either. I just think if we come here, this will be a nice movement. They might do it overnight though. So if you're not an interactive broker, you might miss this move and then wake up to us being sitting in here. I do not think this level will hold the same weight as it did here. So of course, now I'm looking for the next level. I think Lawrence, you're asking how do I know which levels to look at? Again, that's the psychology, the order flow. If you have book maps, it'll probably show you that the orders will be sitting a lot heavier down here than they are here, just because of how many times we've been visiting this area. So that's NQ. Now we can get into QQQ. Should be pretty similar. Well, I closed my app. Sorry, guys. So let's get into QQQ. So again, QQQ, same thing as NQ. It actually broke above, wicked above, and then came back down. So now okay, just doing the daily zones, so we know already that this actually wicked above. See, I think QQQ has already given out a signal that it does want to go to the higher level, just because I seen it break above. But we did get a little break below, and now we did get back above, so this is my next target, which is insane to think about. All-time highs. But this market isn't unpredictable, so QQQ is rebalancing tomorrow, so we'll see if that's going to slow down anything. See, this is where I'm conflicted with this zone here. We got that wick above. QQQ definitely the hardest one to chart out right now. If I was to say, I was to pick one, which I am going to, because I do have to pick a side on it of how I'm going to be playing it. I am thinking this is a demand zone. Till we break back below it. Just because we popped out on the daily, now I have to treat this as a demand. And again, here is going to be the tricky part, because we've got this whole trend move in this one zone, which, you know what, I might have to just update it. I would use NQ if I'm playing QQQ. At this point, I might have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. See, NQ's got that whole divergence with QQQ now. Like, I'm gonna have to play this as a demand, as a supply. Such a tight range for a daily demand and supply. I'm not a fan of it, but it is what it is. These levels will be important, so such a compressed low range. That's all I'm gonna put down for daily zones. Wait for one of these to break. Definitely got better price action and movements. I'm not gonna draw a zone this close to a daily zone, so I'm just gonna mark out the key levels like I would have drew out the zone. Break below here, I'm definitely looking for a move. First price target here, and then to its daily zone. Again, inside the zone, I also draw out. It'd be right here. And then these are areas, wow, looks pretty bullish to me on this movement here, holding this area. Again, we're sitting in this area for so long. Do I think these rejections are as strong? No. Do I think I would rather risk my capital up here for a rejection? Yes, personally would. This is how simple I'm gonna keep QQQ. Use NQ for confluence, please, but definitely this is as simple as levels I'm gonna get on QQQ. Not a fan of price action in here. Definitely use your confluences if you're playing QQQ with NQ here. Just a $3 range, but NQ would definitely give you a better entries. I do like this movement above 368.5. Just because we got that wick here, we got that nice break here, we got a pretty good size candles here. I do believe price action does mirror pretty much the same price action of how it got to those levels. So coming back above here, I am looking more for this type of stagger movement. And then here might give a little bit of resistance before continuing up. Here's where I'd be patient for a breakout. Well, that is it. Any other things you guys want to go over? Yeah, I gotta start greasing the hinges a bit. Summertime, in Canada, the winter is not so friendly to door hinges. The 4435p unload. I'm gonna save that for a webinar. But the way I would tell you, easiest way is just pay attention to contract delta, seeing the movement in the delta. It helps. I think Arjun and Muro were just talking about it right now. Lawrence? In the Greeks, yes. It's all in the Greeks. Any thoughts on meta? We could do meta quickly if you like. So I have not looked at meta yet. This will be the first time. We can go look at on the weekly. Well, my chart is not showing me anything past. That's weird. June. Wow. Okay. We do got a little bit of levels here, so don't really need all that previous price action. So right off the bat, we're approaching a supply zone up here. I think it's gonna go there. Well, we do have this previous demand area. Turn supply that we're sitting in. Well, it makes sense because you see how we got this whole movement here. Pretty much continued straight into that. And this is where we had that price action stagger. So this is just a steady trend. Wow. Unreal. If I would have to look for a retracement area, this would be my retracement area. Other than that, I think this one has a mission to go to that upper zone. Wow, look at the movement here every day. 290 to 276. Oh my god. That's some nice price action for meta. Having daily candles touching both of these zones almost. It looks like it's finally trying to stop this movement of coming back down here. 304 to 314. Let's just look on the hourly what happened. I feel like that break of that level might be such smooth price action that I'm gonna have to keep on watch. Oh wow. All right, set my alert. 304. Wow. Yeah, I'll set my alert. 304 to 314. I can see how. This thing's a monster. Perfect retracement and go. These are the type of retracements. Retest, break, retest, break. Zone touch, come back, touch a zone. Bounce, retest. And holding above 291 should give it good price action up. Just a few levels inside here. But it should continue with strength. Anything else you guys want to go over? I'm about to hop off. I do appreciate you guys. Feel like this week we'll be a little bit more patient, but we will find the great moves. JD, I'll have Meta on watch. Appreciate you for that. Appreciate you, Lawrence. Appreciate you, Arjun. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you, Daryl, Christopher, Charles. Oh, welcome, man. If this is your first time, try to do it every weekend. I want to do actually one during the week as well. Just kind of like break it up so we can revisit what we've seen in our setups for Sunday and then do it again in the middle of the week. No problem, Merle. Appreciate you, Martin. Alan, definitely. I'll have that posted right away. Appreciate you, Gabriel. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll probably be on, if you're in Team Bull, I'll be in Team Bull for just to see where the futures opens up. I did swing some light zero hero calls. I think they're down maybe 5% coming into, but definitely want to see where we open. I do have 2 hours before SPX opens, so if I see us back in those demand zones, I am going to take my little loss, but I had a feeling that we might get this movement back up. Yes, Arjun. Kind of probably seen the same thing. Alright, appreciate you guys. Signing off.